Why?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Channing Unitarian Universalist Church. You join us for worship today. It's a little ad hoc ceremony today. We figure everyone's got a lot of things to get to church today. We're also pretty tired. We had just to do a quick announcement. Probably our best coffee house yet. So we're pretty cool last night. Great open micers, so we can go. Thank you to everyone that it takes to put that together, especially if you're here this morning as well. Thank you. So, moving on, whoever you are, theological, spiritual, political, sexual, or racial orientation, or gender identity, part of this community. Do we have any announcements this morning?
As always, I have many.
Yeah.
First is we are raffling off a pair of tickets to the Boston Ballet's presentation of Sleeping Beauty. The show is June 3rd at 1 p.m. We're pulling the raffle winner on May 28th. All the proceeds from the raffle are going to go towards the plexiglass repair project. Tickets are $2 a piece, $5 for $3. If you want to buy raffle tickets, come see me after service during coffee hour, and I'll get you set up. We also have a sign-up sheet in the entry. I'll also put it out by this coffee hour. I'm going to update everybody's name tags. So for those of us who don't have name tags, I'm going to make new name tags. But I want to get everybody's name the way they want it and their pronouns. So if you could put your name on there, so I know your name tag.
As we get more and more visitors, vacancies.
Yes. Next year, I anticipate lots of visitors, so we put our name tags. Next is the plant sale is on Saturday. Aaron asked me to announce it. The plant sales gonna run from 9 to 3. She's looking for volunteers to help with things like cashiering, helping customers carry plants out to their car, answering general questions, things along those lines. If you want to sign up, let me know. She has an online sign up sheet, but I can also just write it down and give it to her. If you have any plants that you need to donate, just let me know. We'll arrange a time for you to bring them here and we'll get them before that. So that's this Saturday, the 20th. Next is this Thursday, the 18th. Mike and Sandy are hosting a meditation hour. It's going to be from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's going to be a guided intuitive meditation. So if you want to come and have an hour of relaxation, they're going to be leading the group. So please come. That's Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. Lastly, and probably most importantly, our annual meeting is coming up soon. Is it next week? It's next week. So after Sunday service is the annual meeting. We need a quorum in order to conduct business. So if you are able to come, please come. We need your vote. If you are on a committee, please send your reports to Susan by Friday. Is that good?
Or sooner.
Or soon? So that's time out. I think that's it.
Any other announcements? Our usual other announcers aren't here. Okay. I'll open today with welcoming 2 new members. They weren't able to attend last week, but they're here this week. So, and if anyone who isn't a member yet, I don't think there's anyone in the group here, but you can always request at any point to sign membership. We want to try to, if anyone wants to be a member, make sure to get them in for the meeting so they get to exercise the perks of membership as soon as possible. So I'm going to call you up one at a time to sign the book. I looked, that book, the membership goes back to like 1896. There are christenings, births, weddings, funerals. It goes pretty way back. That is, you're joining a storied history. So congratulations. I'm excited for you when I see it. We're going to go in the alphabetical order. So I am Claire. Please. Now, Maddie Myers. Welcome to our 2 additional members this year. So some opening words for today's service are about people who are mothers. With few exceptions, Virtually 100% of us are here today because of a mother. That mother may be different from the person who raised us. And all mothers are people, which we all know, but do we? In our efforts to thank moms for one of the toughest jobs in the world, have we forgotten to thank them for everything they couldn't do or put off until the nest was empty? Who was your mom before they became mom? What were their plans and dreams for life? And how close did they get? Or are they still trying to get? Please stand as you're willing and able for the lighting of the chalice and our affirmation. Continuing this flame of our liberal arts, let us open the presence. Now the affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is sacrament, and service is prayer. To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity and fellowship, the end that all souls shall find. Thus to be covenant with each other and with God. Please be seated. They will go right into the collection. Please stand up one more time. For us last time. Your dedication. Spirit of we bring ourselves and gifts to thee. Oh, find our hearts in sacred love, in faith and hope. Thank you. So I did that on purpose so that we can get all the standing parts out of the way and just sit. Go. Are there any joys and concerns you anyone want to share with them?
My son Daryl graduated from Bridgewater State University yesterday.
Yeah. For children.
Didn't like my ears, they're still ringing from last night.
Mine is feel a little shouty today. One more. All the most concerns. Open our hearts. So before I get myself in too deep here, let me just get right out there that I think Mother's Day is a great idea. I'm not anti-Mother's Day. It's always a good sign when something starts that way. It's almost like I'm not a racist, but I have a mom. I hope her edible arrangement arrived edible and stays edible for more than 6 hours. I'm thankful for Julie, who is the mother of our children. Pretty sure. But this year, as I was making arrangements for these two women in my life, Julie did not get an edible ring. So thank you, Tilden Forest. She could eat them if she was brave. I recognized that I was shoehorning this into a break from my whole other life, not as a father, but as an employee for the company I work for. For entire hours every workday, some weekend days too, I'm not dad. I'm some guy my peers work with. Some of them know I have kids because they make appearances in meetings fulfilling both dad and proposal writer roles simultaneously. But most of them probably have no clue or even care if I'm dad. In their minds, I can father in my own time. I'm on the clock working on their deadlines right now. And while that seems to be the case for most of the dads I know, some of them probably even prefer part-time fatherhood because it gives them an out from the hard parts of raising children while making time for the fun parts. It seems like 100% the opposite for moms. There's no time off from being a mom. It becomes your name, both from your children, but also sometimes from other adults. You got this, mama, comes to mind. Nobody ever tells me I got this. Daddy-o. Even in mom's professional lives, they seem to inherit mother-like roles at work, like party planning, lunch ordering. The fun committee is always women, nearly all moms. It seems like they end up scheduling their bosses' overscheduled life, much like their kids' overscheduled lives. Note-taking, because like at home, it's up to the mom to remember where everything is, where it all went. And then there are the other mom roles that come from kids' activities. Snack mom, den mother, troop leader, school packs, field trip chaperones. It's more mom stuff, just combining mom powers with other moms. And speaking as a dad who's volunteered for some of these groups in the past, it's kind of a mom sorority. Dads would be tolerated, but suspected until something heavy needs to be done. We even have a ritual to formalize this change, the baby shower. There's at least one, sometimes more than one, friends and family, then one at work, just to make sure everyone knows that your role in life has changed. You're about to be mom, mother, until the day you die. I went to one of Dot's baby showers. I think I almost said bar departments, but there. I don't think that's happening. We're a pretty inclusive faith, but. So the other baby shower though was girls only, meaning moms and those expecting to be moms one day. The one I went to was co-ed, and interestingly enough, at least from my observation, most of the other men there seem to have been either more involved dads already or became ones later in life. So maybe a note out there for future baby shower planners. Invite the dads you want to see in the world. And from birth on, all of these women's lives changed. Julie's life changed. My mom's life changed. I bet even the Queen of England's life changed when Charles's weird head, involved with ears and nose, would prevent a crown from slipping down and choking him, finally popped out. I can say that because I'm in this country. And because motherhood is full time, all those plans that these women made before becoming wives and mothers, sometimes delayed, deferred, sometimes abandoned entirely. Degrees, careers, friends, interests, all done, or at least less so, for the next 18 to 30-ish years. So no, I'm not anti-Mother's Day, but I wonder if we're maybe making the mistake of preserving the status quo here. Maybe instead of merely reinforcing the all-encompassing, almost assimilationist mom role, we could take a day to treat moms like who they were before everyone needed them 24/7. People with goals and dreams. People who were sometimes hungover or lost their voice at a concert or need to do that thing for a weekend that they used to do with their friends. Let moms enjoy a day like dads, where for at least one day, they get to be who they were before children redefine their role in life and who they could be, and maybe dads share the part-time parent role a little more equally. So if everyone here is game, I've got an idea to try it out. It was included in the email that, per my email, not everyone gets email and everyone reads it. But I'd like you to try to come up with a story about your mom. And more importantly, a person about who she is or who she wasn't as a. Who is the person that became your mom and is your mom? Or as Arnold might have asked in a more just 1990s, who is your mommy and what does she do? That's all, beat me up. All right, so I figure if I'm going to ask anyone to do this, I should be fair at first. I'll tell you a little bit about Beth's name, originally Beth Roach. Yeah, you could have taken it from again. It's 4 kids. So Beth Roach is an artist. She grew up in an artistic family with her father, Bernie, a professional photographer who also played the piano and accordion. Her mother, Deanna, who weaved at her loom with wool from Angora rabbits she raised herself, plus 4 younger sisters and 1 brother. The entire family sang, drew, painted, played musical instruments, and more. It was very Von Trapp. In fact, I think they watched that movie a lot and have been their role models for me. They all sang in harmony on camping trips across the US and Canada, and Beth played guitar too. She was shy, so they would conspire by all singing quieter at the same time so that she would solo, not knowing that they had prearranged to be quiet. Beth studied art at Towson University in Baltimore, Maryland. She lost access to financial aid after her next oldest sister left school. She re-met my dad after high school, who was newly enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. And when it looked like he was about to be stationed in either Europe or Hawaii, which was a long way from Baltimore County, Maryland, they got married, and it turned out to move to Hawaii, where I was born. From marriage and me on, Beth's life was somewhat secondary to mine and my dad's. Her career would always be limited by moves every 3 to 4 years, always at least halfway across the country or the Pacific Ocean, whether to Washington, D.C., where she was reunited briefly with her Baltimore County family, San Antonio, Texas, or back to Honolulu. But Beth always found her way back to art. When I started kindergarten finally, she took a graphic designer role on base, which back in 1986 meant pasteboards and cutouts. In San Antonio, she took an entry-level job at a grocery store, H-E-B, maybe heard of it, and worked up into the floral department. She thrived as a florist, and she earned a college certificate in floral arts. She worked as a florist in various shops in San Antonio, Honolulu, in the DC metropolitan area, and Huntsville, Alabama, before finally retiring a few years ago. Beth still does art today, whether I'm making bead jewelry, her nails, countless doodles that she always made on scrap paper as finally long phone calls, usually angora rabbits or snails. Sometimes just flower arrangements that she didn't get a chance to make or was revisiting. She's still an artist today. Would anyone else like to share about who your mom is or was?
True. So my mom, Sandra, was a little bit older before she got married and had me. She was in her late 30s by the time that happened. So unlike Rick's mom, she got to have an adult life. It does have a short range. So she got to have a somewhat full adult life before I showed up. And she traveled all over the country. She's traveled around the world. She's been to Cuba, although she was 4 when she went, she doesn't remember it. She traveled to the Canary Islands when she met my dad, but before I came around. She used to go camping. She studied to be a hairdresser, but never actually worked as a hairdresser. She worked for a company called Bay State Abrasives, which is where she met my dad. So she had a life before I came around. And even when I was a kid, she always tried to find ways to connect to her hobbies. She didn't get to travel as much. I mean, we certainly took family vacations, but they were probably less adventurous than when she was younger. But she always did, she would go through phases where she would do different crafts. And she went through a flag period where she would get large sheets of some sort of vinyl-like material, and she would get patterns, and she would make the flags that you see hanging outside, like the novelty flags, not like country flags, but Easter flags or Valentine's flags, things like that. She would make those, and they were beautiful. She did such a great job with them. And then my brother and I got a little bigger and a little busier, and she had less time for flags. She went through a phase where she did a lot of woodworking, and she would make these life-size cutouts from plywood of ice skaters and Santa Claus, and she made like a full-size 3-dimensional sled that she would put out in the yard at Christmas time and put all of these winter figures out. And again, they were amazing. She'd get the patterns, she had all the tools, and she would cut all of these figures out and she would paint them. And then she would painstakingly stake them in the yard every winter until one year a bunch of bratty neighborhood kids stole them. And we found them broken in a ditch down the road later. And that kind of took the wind out of that hobby. But she would make smaller wooden figures. And I have a couple of them that are little toy soldiers that she made. And I have like some pumpkins and some Halloween ones that she would make. But again, we got older and busier. She had less time for that hobby. She made most of our Halloween costumes when we were little. As we got older and the costumes got more complicated or were specific characters, they became store-bought. But for years, she and my aunt would make our costumes. When we were finally old enough that she didn't have to spend as much time schlepping us around, she would help out at the florist shop that I also worked at, a friend of mine. She spent a lot of time volunteering for a charity called Project Just Because, out in Hopkinton where she lives, and they provide all sorts of things to families in need. But I've just seen over my whole life, every time my mom has had the opportunity to reconnect with something that she enjoys, she always tried to find time to fit that into her life. And I'm very grateful that she set that precedent for me, because I also try to fit things into my life that bring me joy and that keeps me sane. So I really appreciate that she always tried to do that. So that's my mom and who she was outside of just being my mom.
Anyone else that tells about their mom?
I got a few stories.
Okay.
I don't know much about my mother Barbara, who was married to my father. She had a previous husband named Edward Woodland. But I'll tell you what I remember. She's one of 5 girls. William and Mary Cody were her parents. He was a drunk, as most Irishmen were long time. So they moved around a lot. And I remember one kind of a funny story. Told my mother, I just came back from the Boston Public Library raising children in the park. Spent the whole day there. She was tired at the end of the day. She said, "Oh, I used to live there." I said, "What? You used to live there?" She said, "Yeah, for about a week or two. My mother brought us there every day and let us nap. And then we would go to my aunt's house one night, and my uncle's house the next, my cousins the next. Apparently they were homeless for a week or two and lived at the Boston Public Library. And I figured that's a great place to spend for a couple of weeks. So I went and spent the day. Her father was her grandfather, I believe, was actually a groundskeeper at Boston Public Gardens. So when I went in there, they would have family lineage to trees, the training, the planting. She used to bring me down there. And she used to look at certain trees. And I'm not sure if she knew that I assumed that when she was looking at her grandfather's handiwork. So I do too. Believe it or not, she never wanted children. She ended up having and 6 steps. So she is amazing. And I don't want to give you the wrong impression of her, not necessarily, but she's a lot like Edith Bunker. She's very caring and loving and trusting, sometimes to the wall. But I just think that needs going. Like I said, before she was married, I'm not sure. I know she was a bank teller for a while and got fired. We really missed that job because somebody walked by her register and pressed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Screwed up the tally. think it's the one of the few people she never forgave. She was there for 4 hours that night, so, you know. Yeah. And then she was a phone operator. That's the other thing I remember. And sometimes we'd make phone calls when we were little kids making pranks. And a little while after when she'd pick up the extension. The line is closed. The line is busy. And we scared the hell out of us because we thought it was the actual operator. You know, actually, her and all four of her sisters were operators at one time. But as my mother, I just remember her always cooking in the kitchen and baking. And I'll never forget it. When I was a kid, there were 12 pies, 12 cakes, dozens, kinds of cookies. She would bake up a soup, 3 or 4 every next. So, as my mom, I have lots of small memories. And I could tell you so many silly, funny stories about her falling over off the porch and lots of other things. If we all laugh about it, you probably would. So, God bless moms. Yeah. And that's all I got to say about the mom for now. Maybe some other time.
Jude? Does anyone else want to go?
Feels very official. Well, when I think about my mom, she also got married and had kids in her late 30s, which was somewhat unusual for the 80s. So she did have a whole life for both an adult for having kids. And what I think about the most is that she's 75, so these aren't things that happened 100 years ago, but how much sexism really did shape her early life. And what a shame that is. My mother is a very math-brained person, very much unlike myself. And she had a scholarship to become an accountant at Bentley, and her father wouldn't allow her to go because of being female. So after that, she worked for the Boston Stock Exchange, which is now defunct. And in her first jobs, and she wasn't allowed to set foot on the stock exchange floor because of being a woman. And so there was all of these, missed opportunities that she could have had. And later on, she became a stay-at-home parent. And there was another sad one that she also tried to be a hairdresser and was really allergic to the hair dye. She was not able, but she wanted to have her own business, which as a math-brained person would have been fantastic. But I think later on, so after she had kids and went back to work, she was a stay-at-home parent for a long time, which I actually don't know was suited for her. She's not that traditional. The female role, the best she can do in the kitchen is a peanut butter sandwich. But she worked for Boston Public Schools in their SPED program, doing their financial and accounting piece. And I think that was, very, she did retire a year ago. So I think that it just makes me feel glad that there are more opportunities for women and girls who are more on the spectrum of the math grades and less inclined to go into a pink collar sort of career. And that we have to do better. This is the legacy. My mom is still alive, and I remember a time when she literally wasn't allowed to go somewhere because being female, which is wild to me. That the freedom we have as women is precious, and we need to.
Anyone else? All right, I think everybody's about ready for coffee. So to close out, it still strikes me that, funny, like it's hard to think about your, like, I think it's hard to imagine your parents in general as people. It's a little easier with dad because I grew up seeing dad at work. Or seeing dad with friends. And for the most part, mom was, I would go see mom at work, but it was always like that second job. It was never like the primary, what she was in the family for. So, looking back, it's hard, especially when it's the person who raises you. You think of them as like some other figure, some other kind of human for the earliest part of your life, and then when you finally figure out that they are a human, you get a little resentful almost for like a couple of years, the surly teenage years, right? But now as a parent myself, and I don't always feel like a parent. Even though I have my kids there reminding me every morning, oh yeah, I gotta go get a shake. I gotta, make breakfast. That I'm pretty sure my mom woke up, when I was a kid, woke up every morning thinking, I'm not a mom, I'm Beth. I gotta get ready for work because, I gotta go to work. Oh, right. Rick threw up this morning. So I hope that moving forward, I know that everything we do here is recorded and broadcast on the internet, so I'm sure today's service will change everything for moms everywhere. And I hope so, that moms get to, when they go out with friends, and they go to work, they get to have that second life that dads have. Or if that can't happen, then maybe dads need to, lean a little more into just being dad all the time. That's something I'm trying to do. If I can't fix it one way, I'll try to fix it the other. So, thank you. Don't forget to call your mom. And we will extinguish the chalice. So, one last standing. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, but fire and or the warmth of the community. These we carry in our hearts until we are in heaven. Thank you. You may go in peace. I always wanted to say that, but here's a Catholic school. You can sit for the or hang or head straight back into the back. I'm just gonna have a last song in honor of the baddest of mothers, or you can start making your way back towards coffee hour.